This is a video response to Amazing Atheist Ron Paul videos. Now, the social issues that Amazing Atheist said about should perhaps be, as he said, individuals' prerogative, but there must be some moral consensus within the United States on whether those things are legal or not, and it is the United States, so the states do have a role in government. How much or how little is to be determined through your interpretation of the United States Constitution. But really, for me, it's the monetary question that comes up as the most important question. I, for a long time, was a supporter of the gold standard. Why? Because the Federal Reserve is a rogue central bank. It has fiat money as its currency, and it prints that money out of thin air, so as Ron Paul would say. But that money is backed up by the consumer price index. Although it's not perfect. It doesn't include food or fuel, which is or housing costs, which are the bread and butter of most people's income and outflows of income. It is accountable to the government because of the university system. Ron Paul's association with Alex Jones has always made me uncomfortable, because Alex Jones is trying to say that the Federal Reserve had something to do with 9/11 because there is a link between the Federal Reserve and the Saudi and Bin Laden crime families through the petrodollar system. That, as it seems like that, but really it's a conflict between the two over who controls the value of oil and the flow of oil. Because if oil is cheap, if there are enough dollars to put down the real value of a barrel of oil, which may conversely mean that there are more nominal dollars to a barrel of oil by inflation, then the cost of oil may actually fall. And of course, oil in the United States and petrol, or gas as you call it, is heavily subsidised. So that's the issue of subsidisation, the amount of tax, especially in the UK, where most of the price is tax, is another question. But I do not believe that the US government had anything to do with 9/11. It may have been cowed by the Saudi and Bin Laden crime families, because I believe they used corridor of fear tactics on that. And Alex Jones's association with Ron Paul has been extremely harmful. He has said that Alex Jones has said that the NWO is part of a plan for globalisation by the EU, and it all goes back to the people who started the EU, which conversely is the university system who are finding it's a new world order, which is Exxon and Halliburton, which is an extremely American nationalistic criminal organisation. It's in the name. New world meaning the Americas, and order meaning a criminal organisation. It's not difficult to work out. But the fact that he would support something that is one of their aims, the gold standard, when it benefited them to have a gold standard, the gold standard was in vogue. And then when it benefited them to have a fiat money currency, which they've now exhausted the value of, almost. The value of the dollar is extremely overrated. They still continue to support that. So they will support any method that they can to maintain their power. And they are a small group, but they are a dangerous group, because they use financial crises such as the Lehman Brothers collapse, then the credit crunch, then the financial debt crisis. All of these things they've tried to make some headway into increasing their power, but they are being confronted by much more powerful groups such as the Saudis, the Bin Ladens, as enemies, and other groups within Western civilization who are feudalistic crime families, or the university system itself, which created the EU, has power over much of legitimate power under a democratic framework within England, the EU, and the United States. Um, so I find it difficult to support Ron Paul's monetary policy on the constitutional issues. I can agree with him from an American perspective that the Constitution is the law of the land, and that it needs to be abided by. And the Constitution clearly says that gold and silver are the only legal currency. Well, I would prefer a silver standard to a gold standard because the silver is plentiful in the United States. It's not controlled by foreign powers, such as the case of gold is, such as ANC anti-white South Africa, which is anti-white. It's killed a million of the Boers, a million people in South Africa, black and white, and also gold is controlled by Russia in many ways. So if the gold standard was in place, a few gold speculators who might be part of the ultra conservative Freemasonry New World Order, if they have power over gold, they could control the American economy, and it would be a monetary dictatorship. Now you can argue that it's a monetary dictatorship with the Federal Reserve, but clearly that isn't the case. The Federal Reserve doesn't have arms. It doesn't kill people's families like the NWO does, or the Saudi or Bin Laden crime families. The Saudi or Bin Laden crime families wanted to get rid of the Federal Reserve board members. They could, although those people were very well protected. They've just chosen not to because they know what would be the American response. So, although Ron Paul for the 9/11 issue has clearly said that it was the Saudis and Bin Ladens who did, and Pakistan as well, he's said about that, were clearly responsible for 9/11. I have no issue with him on that front, but he clearly lost the election last time because of his association with Alex Jones, because the whole power elite factions all saw why he was having some relationship with Alex Jones as being illegitimate, and so he was stopped from being president then. I do believe that Obama will probably have a next term in office, even though Ron Paul is going to run again. But I don't think The Amazing Atheist, although he's a friend of mine on YouTube, should condemn all people who are constitutionalists who support Ron Paul, because there is good things and bad things about the man, although I don't trust him because of his association with Alex Jones. And that is really the crux for me, because if you can be an enemy of somebody and have a negotiation with them through the media as it might be, but he's just too close to Alex Jones. And so for me, that is the final crux of it, as to why it can't be a gold standard, and it shouldn't be an oil standard either, because that gives the Saudis and Bin Ladens far too much power. It should be a monetary system of the United States should be like the EU's monetary system, with a fiat currency which, under a democratically accountable central bank, which is backed by some gold, silver, platinum, and it includes in its retail price index a fuel which hopefully will be clean fuel and green fuel from nuclear fusion and wind turbines, and food costs and housing costs, and that would solve the problem for the United States. So you need a new Federal Reserve, basically. Thank you for listening.